Good morning. If I could just learn to vlog while I drive, this would be so easy to do every day, because I have like a 3-hour commute. Right now the sun isn't up yet, but that's going to change in about a minute and a half or less. Maybe around once I crest this hill. Let's see what happens here. Good morning, sunshine. Yeah, here it comes. There it is. It's the sun in my face. Of course, I could just vlog at stoplights. I have a few of those. Not too many. Well, yeah, too many. It's always too many, right? And of course, they're always red. Stoplights. When are these going to be fully computerized and automated and all that good stuff, and we don't wind up sitting at intersections with no one crossing? That technology has to exist already. I suppose it's a budgetary concern. 3 lights in a row, and I hit all 3 red. That's not right. So now I'm at my longest red light of every trip, every morning. I should probably be able to do a whole vlog here almost every day, because this light just always stops me about, it's probably less than a minute, but it always seems like 5 or 10 minutes that you're sitting here. This light takes forever. And I want to turn, but no right turn on red. So we wait, and we wait, and we wait. Yeah, so I'm parked at the light. This should be the perfect time to talk. And what was I going to talk about today? I've been wanting to do some more on my poetry vlog, do another poem, and talk a little bit about poetry. What is poetry? What makes a poem a poem? I think that's an interesting question these days. Yeah, when we're very small children, the first poems we learn are nursery rhymes. And those are nice and simple and easy to remember, and that's one reason why they rhyme. But then as we start to go to school, we learn all poetry doesn't have to rhyme. And we feel very sophisticated when we learn that all poetry doesn't have to rhyme. And we look down on poems that do sometimes. And I think this is a great loss when we do that. Not that we can learn to accept poems that don't rhyme, but that we start to look down our noses at poems that do. Once we do eliminate that requirement that poems rhyme, we start looking at the definition of a poem and asking, what is a poem? What does make a poem if it doesn't rhyme? And we start talking about other literary techniques. Repetition becomes big if we're not repeating rhymes, word sounds. We look at, alliteration and assonance and all those kind of things. We look at rhythms and line lengths. Is it just short lines? Is it use of imagery? Is it a use of symbolism? And then you eventually work your way to free verse. Remember what Robert Frost said about free verse. He said, it's not really poetry. I don't remember the exact quote, actually. But I know he said it was like playing tennis without a net. I wrote a poem a long time ago about William Carlos Williams, definitely one of my very favorite poets. I think it was quoting him. I don't think it was my own words, but I remember the description that prose, he said, could be like the contents of a ship, but poetry needs to be the ship itself, and you need to remove everything extraneous. I've always thought of poetry as being like a knife, and a poet as being like the cutler that makes the knife. I wrote a poem once about that analogy, I guess, talking about how you work honing a poem the way you hone a knife, beating it, annealing it into fires of your soul, because I'm deep and profound like that, being a poet, I was about as good a poet as I am a vlogger, maybe even worse. But I do think a poem needs to have a very good focus, but then shouldn't good prose have a decent focus? A very sharp focus, like a good knife. I think poetry works to distill the essence of something, but I don't think that using rhyme or not using rhyme defines that, so I don't know. What do you think? Really curious to hear what other people think makes a poem a poem. So until next time, don't forget to be awesome. I will talk to you again soon, hopefully.
Sometimes people are stressed out, you need someone to talk to, you just want to hear a voice, just to hear, it's going to be okay.